Hi everyone, welcome to I guess, a little different video. I haven't been on screen for many days, so I thought I'd let you see that I'm doing okay. And I haven't done a historical video for a while, and so I wanted to do something just to get us to think, not forget about the history examination. Hopefully I'm going to be fine here. I get a little bit of like a winter asthma once in a while, and so hopefully there's no wheezing or need to take super deep breaths. It comes in for like a week once in a while and then goes away. So it's on one of the in periods now. So rather than an event, rather than try to take you through detail of an event, I just wanted to take you through one really unique year. A year that has so many foundation points that's got us where we are. So many things happened in the year 1947. And I just want to present some of them to you, but the most important ones will be the ones I'm finishing with. The first ones are they're just big stuff to start with, like, wow, this is all happening in the same year. But it's the things at the end that even more, I think, define something energetically, something strange, something in the astrology, something in the dream script that said 1947 was important. So to start with, we're 2 years past the end of the Second World War, and we have some, of course, political things that are going on. It's the supposed official start of the Cold War. It's also the official time that the Marshall Plan came in for the American reconstruction of Europe. We've got the formation of India and Pakistan, where India was partitioned into the two countries, which has been a dominant factor in Asia ever since. It was the year of the formation of Israel, which is the number one foundation step to the whole political structure of the Middle East since then. 1947 is also the year Jackie Robinson plays his first year with the Brooklyn Dodgers, bringing black athletes the ability to play with white athletes again, and was a big step into the civil rights movement into the 1960s. That happens in 1947. Thor Heyerdahl, the Norwegian explorer, sailed Kon-Tiki across the Pacific Ocean to prove that early vessels and early settlements could very well travel great distances around the world. But those are actually minor stories. The big stories of 1947 are, first, Operation High Jump. And that, I guess, began in late 1946 and moved into early 1947. A giant military force of the United States, which I think included 13 ships, an aircraft carrier, 4,000 or 5,000 troops, went to Antarctica. And you have to ask, and this has led to so much speculation, what are they doing? Going to Antarctica, and why do you need, a massive military presence to do it? Speculation has been rife ever since with, if it's a flat earth person, they'll say they were going to check scale the ice wall and see what's on the other side of the Antarctic ice wall, hence Operation High Jump. Others will say that this was the place where Nazis had built a base, which they had, but a extreme base of giant technology, where they were still testing their saucer technology and their various flying and rocket technology and whatever else they've been working with. Did you see something just fly behind me, by the way? We should all go back like about 10 seconds, because it just seemed like I can see myself on the screen, and it just looked like, as I was talking about that, something just went behind me. 4:38, I'm going to look back at that. Anyway, so the speculation that the Nazis had not only found some entrance into the inner earth, some old cities, and that they were still, that this was still a battle that was going on. And according to some of the, I guess what you would call speculation or research, some suggest that the United States had a battle with the remaining Nazis in Antarctica and lost. That the technology, particularly the saucer technology, was too great for them. Of course, the Nazis were also during the 1940s working on the Bell Project, which was a time travel project, which links somewhat to what the United States was doing starting in 1942, right, with the Philadelphia experiment, linking later to the Montauk Project, and obviously linking to whatever the Nazi Bell Project was. So I'm not going into great detail on any of this stuff. I'm just presenting a really strange interwoven year, and you guys are free to go and look into it deeper. But we've got Operation High Jump, which nobody can really explain. There is actually a lot of footage on the internet. If you go to YouTube, you will find a lot of footage of this, at least the deployment part of it. And there, if I recall, there's some really interesting footage of some of the planes flying over Antarctica to places that are absolutely ice-free, snow-free. I mean, it looks like you could be in the middle of the Rocky Mountains. So, again, you start asking what's actually in Antarctica, because Admiral Byrd, who was in charge of this operation, right, he had lots of stuff to say about what was really in Antarctica, and that it was definitely not a frozen wasteland, but I think he called it the greatest stockpile of minerals on Earth. So Operation High Jump. About 6 months later, we get Roswell. So the Roswell crash, which obviously something did crash in Roswell in July of 1947. The question, of course, is, well, what crashed? Obviously, it's not some weather balloon like they had tried to present. Was it really some sort of alien craft, non-earthly bound craft? Some, of course, speculate that the war that had been going on, the battle that had been going on in Antarctica, was continuing. And this saucer craft, the saucer craft that came down, was actually a German craft, not an alien craft. So we don't know. We don't need to go into all the details of Roswell. Probably anyone watching this video has a pretty good idea, a little bit of the story of Roswell, and you're welcome to dig into that as much as you feel you want to. Coming out of that, though, coming out of whatever happened at Roswell, we bring out, and I can't remember when that is, I think it's in September, the National Security Act, which was a major restructuring of the U.S. military, and was the formation of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. It was all a part of this National Security Act, which was linked to whatever happened from Roswell. At the same time, linking with all that was the project Majestic 12. Majestic 12 being an organization formed by President Truman to supposedly facilitate the recovery of an alien spacecraft. Of the people who were involved in all of these things, though, there's one name that links to all of it, to Operation High Jump, to Roswell, and to the National Security Act, and that was the Defense Secretary, James Forrestal. And Forrestal would have had pretty much complete knowledge of whatever was going on in all of these activities. Rumor had it that within a year's time, he had gotten to the point where he was, where he wanted to tell what he knew, that he felt, so, I mean, again, it depends where you go for your information, but either he had discussions with aliens, he knew what actually happened in Operation High Jump, he knows the whole situation. He wanted to go public with his information. And by 1949, he's found dead in extremely strange circumstances in a naval hospital, with expectations, of course, he was murdered to keep him quiet. So we've got this happening in 1947, this obvious need to create the National Security Act, Majestic 12, the CIA, obviously with a need to control information and to control what the public knows or does not know of what government knows. that's all coming out of whatever happens in 1947. The final event of 1947 that even tops, I think, all of it is actually, even to me, the most important part of 1947, and few people think about it. And that's the finding of two sets of documents. Those two sets of documents being the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nikomati Gnostic Codexes. And the Dead Sea Scrolls, of course, I don't even think you can even see a page of them. I think they're still like almost under lock and key, and almost no researchers are allowed to even go see them or look at them directly. The Nikomati Gnostic Codex, I think, has a little more open availability. I know I've seen a page of it when I was at the Coptic Museum in Cairo, and was, of course, just fascinated by it because I'd been studying it for years already at that point by the time I saw my first page. And what's really interesting is this is generally presented as early documents of very early Christian doctrine, Christian groups, and that's not true at all. What you're seeing here is the dream. It's very interesting. The dream, the matrix, can't come out with just one side of anything. It's a dual reality. So if something's going to be presented and it's big, you've got to get it presented twice. And if you look closely at, for example, the Nikomati Codex, which is the amazingly survived Gnostic scriptures, many of which are similar to the New Testament, but many of which are extremely different. And you can see almost what became the New Testament. You can go through that and see what's been removed. Quite a bit of the connection between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, the connection between Jesus and his disciples, and of course the detailed description of something known as archons, which are non-human entities which have taken over human consciousness for thousands of years, and which links directly, potentially, to what we were seeing in Operation High Jump and whatever happened at Roswell. So you're seeing all of these things are not by accident. So you've got these Gnostic codexes. They're found that same year, which is stunning. They were hidden. Probably they were kept at the Temple of Hathor. That's my personal opinion, because Nikomati is just across the river from where the Temple of Hathor at Dendera is. So they were probably part of the Greek update of ancient Egyptian knowledge, and then they were hidden in caves. In fact, I think some of the codexes were burnt for a while. The person who found them were burning them in his stove. So actually, there was more we've lost before somebody finally said, "Hey, I think you should get these to somebody. They look important." But you've got the Dead Sea Scrolls coming up as well. And what's so interesting about the Dead Sea Scrolls, of the little bit you can start to decipher in them, is that it's not really early Christianity at all, so to speak, or if it is, it's the opposite of what the Nikomati codexes are describing. It's almost like you're seeing the formation of a religious idea through the mind of the archon, directly through non-human parasitic intelligence is part of this very strange group that wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. Potentially. I can't say that for sure, because there are lots of elements to the Dead Sea Scrolls. So please don't comment and try to attack anything about it. I have read them very carefully, as I've read the Nikomati Codex. For sure, they're very different. And like I say, if one thing comes out, its opposite has to come out. And I almost, because of that, I really get the sense that we got these two of the greatest finds of religious documented history all come out in the same year as all of these other things I just mentioned, this massive year of stuff. And you've got what is technically the mind of the earliest religious knowledge on the planet, sort of after ancient Egypt and the Maya and early Sumerian Babylonian thought. The Gnostic thought is the next level to it, and then the Dead Sea Scrolls require a tremendous amount of open-minded research, because it is so it's definitely not the way it tries to be presented. The standard, the few researchers who get to go, in a lot of cases, they have to already have a particular angle to be allowed to even look at them and comment on them. So, yeah, this is 1947. And the question, of course, is why exactly did all of this have to happen in 1947? Why not 46? Why not 1951? Why this particular year? And so I'm just leaving that for you to kind of not only think about 1947 perhaps and look into something you might want to look into personally, but again, we're looking ahead into 2021 now of our unknown calendar. And I wanted to get this out before the 20th and the 21st of this month, where the next 2 days, nothing could happen or something quite path-changing could happen. So I just thought this was a good time to think about a year that was quite unique, even though it didn't seem so much at the time. But how many things, as you track forward the last 70-ish years, have their foundation point in 1947. So thanks for joining for this very short, non-depth discussion. I'll get back to you with another chapter of Falling for Truth in a few days. I've got some interesting interviews coming up, historical interviews. I'll let you know in the next video, but there's going to be some interesting topics. It's not just going to be what I've been doing before. It's going to be, and not really interviews, it's going to be discussions with some people on some other channels that we're gonna take a subject and try to see if we can go one layer into it. And I'll let you know coming up who I'm doing those with and when you can watch those. So yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow and if we have something to talk about at the end of the week. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, commenting. Thanks for the donations, the book sales. It's all been really appreciated, and like I say, it's been quite the surprising 6 months. So thanks to everyone that's helped create this little channel from 10 or 15 subscribers to where we are now. See you soon.